Okay. You're alive. Thank you, Father God. I'm always so happy when I see that you helped me to make this happen. Okay, not to yap a lot. My husband's ready to start the class and the time is right. So let me go ahead and send the screen over to him. Enjoy the class, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Halachah class in which we discuss the laws of Judaism and discover the wonderful warmth that's going to be brought up by tonight's class too, and the love that the Almighty has for us in giving us His wonderful Torah. The word Torah, by the way, that we use all the time, actually means guidance and instruction. Everybody calls it law, and of course it has the laws and direct our lives to be a wonderful Torah Jewish life. But the word Torah itself actually, the word Torah itself actually means guidance and instruction. Yeah, I'll be right with you. Just gonna
make it as low as possible.
Okay. Okay. So when we study on Thursday nights these laws of the Torah, we're looking for not only for guidance but for inspiration. There are things that we can't fulfill at this time because of our situation or circumstances. I'm teaching laws about reading the Torah right now because that's where we are in the book called the Abridged Code of Jewish Law. We're sort of following the book. We're following the book basically in order, and this is what we're at this point. These laws are for all of us. There are many laws. We think of Torah reading as being only for men. The women listen to the Torah reading as well, and they answer amen to the blessings and are inspired very much by the Torah readings. There are many women, for instance, who get more from the Torah reading than the men do because they take it very seriously and with great respect. For us, the Torah reading in those services that have a Torah reading, that is the high point in the service. It's like receiving the Torah once again at Mount Sinai. And when we listen to the reader reading the Torah to us, we think of Moses, who is teaching us the Torah. The Almighty recited the first two of the 10 Commandments, and it was too much for us. It was just too much to experience such a close relationship physically with the Almighty. So Moses continued, and at any rate, what we find is that by learning these laws, learning about them, we realize how very holy our Torah is, how privileged we are to have it, and we also learn lessons for daily life, one of which we hope to cover today as well. It has to do with sensitivity and avoiding jealousy, avoiding the wrong thoughts, and avoiding people feeling that favoritism is being shown, etc. So you're probably wondering, what's that got to do with Torah reading whatsoever? You'll be surprised to find out very, very shortly. At any rate, as they say, that as we study these laws, we come very close to the Almighty. I'm not in a situation right now. I hope my wife and I, please God, Reverend Sinyiska, that we'll be moving to Baltimore and be able to hear the Torah reading on a regular basis. But here we can go many months before we even see a Torah scroll, even to simply see it. We have a wonderful rabbi who is the head Chabad rabbi, head Lubavitch rabbi here in North Dakota, Rabbi Yonah Grossman. We've stayed by him many times and helped him make a minyan for services and had a wonderful time there. And what's really beautiful is that one of the Torah scrolls that's in his synagogue, and I have had the privilege to be the Torah reader for the service. One of those Torah scrolls, and I've read them both. I've read both for the congregation that we gathered for these special holidays, actually came from, of all places on earth, from Dickinson, North Dakota, where we live. And one would never dream there'd ever been a Torah here. One would never dream. Dickinson, who actually had known the rabbi, I think that his house was close to hers, and there actually were services, and there actually was a rabbi and a real Torah scroll. So you can imagine the thrill I had. Rabbi Grossman has two scrolls. One of them, we're not exactly which sure one, but I read from both of them. I had this wonderful honor of reading the Torah from Dickinson, North Dakota, the last place, one of the last places on earth you'd think there ever was a Torah. So it's quite an experience. At any rate, we're reading. We rise up, of course, as we have learned, that the Torah is escorted from the ark to the special table where it is read. And many people, as a matter of fact, stand while the Torah is being read. At least for the blessings that are recited, one should stand. But it's even better to stand for the entire Torah reading like we stood at Mount Sinai. Well, we had learned that originally the Torah reading was split up. It is still split up on Saturday afternoon, Monday and Thursday mornings, that we have three people that are called to the Torah. They recite the blessings, and one person, the reader, reads the Torah aloud. He chants it with a beautiful melody and has to chant it very carefully, make sure that each word is correct and the musical notes are correct, because he's doing this not just for himself, but he's doing this for the congregation. As I say, it's very much like an experience of being at Mount Sinai, and a wonderful reminder of how close we can be to the Almighty, even though we're far away from Israel and far away from Jerusalem, as we await the coming of the Mashiach, when we'll all be very close to the Almighty, and I'll be able to be in Jerusalem at the Holy Temple, which will be built speedily, hopefully, in our days too. And we see the tension, of course, the tension in the whole world. All eyes are on President Trump. What is he going to do, etc. Now, he's made some very, very powerful threats to Iran. Iran is still killing many people who are protesting. They're still doing this in very horrible ways, very, very mean ways. They're using chemical weapons. They are maiming people. They are going into hospitals and shooting wounded people in the hospitals and putting them to death. There are very terrible things are going on now. The president's aware of it. He says that the help is on the way and that he's a man, as we know, who keeps his word. In the meantime, this gigantic aircraft carrier called the Abraham Lincoln is very close to the shores of Iran. There are all sorts of preparations, as we can see. We never know what he's going to do. We never knew he was going to send these enormous airplanes called B-2 bombers and destroy the nuclear energy facilities of Iran. We didn't know that was going to happen. And we woke up one morning, it was all done. It already had been done in a very, very amazing way. So, likewise, recently, Venezuela, with its wicked government, was pulled out alive. They were pulled out right alive from their stronghold, so to speak, in Venezuela, and are being judged in an American court for their very, very wicked and cruel, barbaric things that they have done, not only to the American people, but to many people in the world. While I'm at it, and we're thinking about the whole world, we want everyone to be safe. May the Almighty see to it that no matter where you live, and some of you come from areas where there's going to be a very, very severe, I shouldn't say there's going to be, they're warning us about a very severe possible snowstorm that is coming up. It does not seem it's going to affect North Dakota where we are, except for the fact that the temperatures are way below zero, and they're already way below zero, as a matter of fact, and one cannot go outside. It would be very dangerous. I pray for us all, the Rebs and Yiska and I both. We pray that all of you should be, wherever you are, you should be safe, not only from the weather, but from all the creepy, horrible, wicked people that are scattered amongst the nations right now. Okay, we have learned already that those times when the Torah is read, Saturday morning, of course, as we know. Saturday afternoon, 3 people are called up. Monday and Thursday, 3 people are called up to the Torah. What does it mean to be called up? That the special officer asks the individual in the congregation by their Hebrew name, they're called up by their Hebrew name, to come up for an aliyah. It's called an aliyah to the Torah. Aliyah means a promotion, like a promotion in a job. It means an elevation. It means an elevation. That person comes up to the Torah, and the reader, now we have one person who reads the Torah for everybody. The reading means not just to read it to himself, he sings it with the special holy Torah music, pronounces the words very carefully and clearly so that everyone in the synagogue, whether you're right next to him or by the door, wherever you are, can hear the Torah reading carefully. It feels very much like being at Mount Sinai and receiving the Torah all again. It's a very wonderful and beautiful experience. But what happens is, we have mentioned in the past, the person who's called up to the Torah for an aliyah, for this elevation, goes up to the Torah. The reader shows them the point in the Torah scroll, that place where the reader is going to begin and end. And then the one who was called up, having the aliyah, pronounces the holy blessings, Baruch Hu, as Hashem is Hamabaruch, bless God who is blessed, Baruch Hashem Habaruch Lamoed, blessed is God who is blessed forever and ever. What he's doing is he is encouraging the entire people before the Torah is read, say a special blessing to God, thanking him for giving us this wonderful holy Torah. And then the blessing before it, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe. Asher bocha banu mikol ha'amim. He chose us from all the peoples, all the nations, all the languages. He chose us. And Nasan lanu his Torah, so, and gave us his Torah, his book of guidance. Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you, O Lord, Nosin HaTorah, the one who's giving the Torah. And then the reader reads a paragraph, or sometimes it's several pages, depending on the situation. When he finishes, the one who was called up says an after blessing. Just like we eat before, we bless God before eating the food, we bless him afterwards. We bless God before reading the Torah, even just a paragraph, and we bless God afterwards as well. And the after blessing is like this: Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you, O Lord, Elokeinu melech haolam, our God, King of the universe, Asher nasan lanu Torahs emes, who has given us a Torah of truth, v'chayi olam, nata b'sochenu, an everlasting life he has planted in our midst amongst us. The Torah is universal, it is true all the way through the ages and forever. Every word of it is true. And we spend our lifetime digging into the true truth of the Torah. Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you, O Lord, Nosin HaTorah, who's constantly, not he just gave us the Torah, but Nosin HaTorah, he's constantly giving it to us as we delve into it and study it. It's the closest you can come to God. Take his holy word and bring it right inside you, inside your soul, inside your body. It's called Mozon Lenefesh, food for the soul. Food for the soul. Okay, so we have learned that, let's say, for instance, today was Thursday morning. I don't have a Torah scroll here. I don't have a synagogue here. But around the world, all around the world, where people could get 10 Jewish men together, 10 Jewish men or boys over age 13, that a Torah scroll was taken out, and they read the first part of this week's portion, which we talked about on Tuesday night. Parshas, but we're dealing, of course, with the Exodus from Egypt, and in this week's portion, we march with a high head and a high stature out of the land of Egypt. After all the threats and all the slavery and all the persecution, we march out of Egypt in this week's Torah reading. Very dramatic portion. So this morning, 3 individuals were called up, and each one of them said the blessings that I just reviewed with you. Torah reader read a paragraph, and then the one called up recites the second blessing after that Torah reading. The second person called up, and then a third person is called up, following the same procedure. As I say, This is all very inspiring to us, even though we're doing it for years and for centuries. We feel very close to the Almighty when we hear the Torah read in public. You can enjoy it very much too. Very uplifted when you study on your own too, which we encourage all the time for you to do. But there's something special about hearing the Torah read in the synagogue when we have our special services, when we have a quorum, we have at least the 10 meals over age 13. All right. There are some rules that you probably will find surprising. So I did that before too about the idea. Remember last week we discussed that as the Torah is so holy that we try not to handle it, if possible and safely, with our bare hands. And if it's at all possible, we use the tallis, which is the holy robe, prayer robe that we use for davening, even just to hold the handles of the Torah. The parchment we very careful not to touch. The parchment upon which the holy words of the Torah are written. It's the holiest object that we possess, and we're very, very careful with it. We show great love for it. When it's brought out, people come up and kiss the Torah, and when it's put back after the reading, people stand up and they kiss the Torah on its way back, being placed back in the holy ark once again. So we've learned some very, very remarkable things, as we mentioned last week. When you're a kid, or even in the museum, and you're an adult, please do not touch, or even the officers, the guards, or whatever, saying, you're too close. You're too close. Please stand behind the line. Stand behind the special ropes that are there, etc., etc. And we realize that things are very valuable and very precious, and they're very important to the country. Like, for instance, we have the original Declaration of Independence. How meaningful that is today in such a very wicked world that we're living in right now, in which all men are created equal. They got that idea from the Torah. All men are created equal. So we learned that in our daily lives, there are things that are considered so precious that they say, don't touch. I'm sorry, you can't handle it. I know you'd like to handle the original manuscript of the Declaration of Independence, which was written by Thomas Jefferson. I used to have a copy of it. You know, they make a fake copy, which looks exactly like the original. They even make the paper brown and everything, sort of look like it's centuries old, etc., for fun, etc. But to touch the original, of course not. It does exist. It does exist. So I wanted to point out that this concept of don't touch, something is too precious to be touched. It has to be protected with extra protection. That's how we feel towards every Torah scroll that's been written the proper way. All right, we're going to learn another law now that also teaches us the sensitivity of Judaism, as we have learned. We even learn, in fact, I keep going off the topic. I'm on the topic, but off the topic. Remember, we learned that a blind person can be called up to the Torah. A person who is handicapped, that person obviously can't read it. Obviously can't read it. All they can do is listen like the rest of us. But that person can be called up to the Torah to be elevated, to come close to the Almighty. That can be done as well. I also told you last week about that Rebbe Zinsky and I were in Ohio once. One of our incredible journeys, including ones that involved God saving us. This was one of those journeys. God saved us from a terrible danger, etc. We wound up in an Ohio synagogue, and the Chabad rabbi there was leading the services, and there were two, not one, but two seeing eye dogs. We had two handicapped people, and they were permitted to bring the dogs right into the synagogue, and the dogs behaved better than some of the people. I'm being a little bit facetious, but at any rate, they were incredibly wonderful, watching and helping their master to be able to participate in the services in the synagogue, in the Chabad synagogue there. It was very inspiring. Well, that shows a sensitivity of the Torah and how the Almighty loves each and every soul, and that we should show great respect and consideration for each other. So we spoke about, for instance, Thursday morning, which is what this morning was, and that three individuals were called on. 3 individuals were called up, but something happened over here.
Holy
I
sugar.
don't know. This time I didn't do it. I'm innocent this time.
Seems that we
The
don't
lamp
have to
fell
do
over very
right.
strangely just at that moment. Okay.
Because the flowers are hiding. I can't see
Oh.
underneath them.
So
Okay.
3
Okay.
individuals were called
What
up.
am I supposed to do?
So
I
there
can't
are
see
rules
this stupid thing.
about this as well. If we have a Kohen, someone who is technically a priest of the Jewish people, they would be called first and given the greatest honor because they have the holy responsibility of running the services in the Holy Temple, which we hope will be built speedily.
Oh.
After that, a Levite is called up. The Levium also.
Husband, you must have stepped on the wire. I can't move the thing. Ah, now I got it. You see, you were stepping on the wire.
Yeah, I'm always getting into trouble even when I'm trying to do something right. At any rate, that a Levite would be called next, and then an Israelite. The Jewish people originally, as you know, they were 13 tribes. One of the tribes split. Joseph's 2 sons each had a tribe, and the original priests of the Jewish people, the original priests of the Jewish people to officiate in the Holy Temple. It has to be the priests. They originally were the firstborn male of every family of the Jewish people, no matter what family they came from. As long as they were a legitimate Jewish person, firstborn, they were representing all the Jewish people. And you can see that that's actually very democratic, that every family all around the world of the Jewish people would have a representative in the Holy Temple. Unfortunately, we made a terrible mistake and we sinned with the golden calf. And members of each tribe, unfortunately, were involved. The Almighty was very disgusted with us, and the Almighty prayed for forgiveness, which He did after a long period of time, 80 days of praying. He got forgiveness for us, but it had an effect. It had a result. Because members of all the tribes had participated in the golden calf, not all. In some cases, it would be very few, of course. But some members from each tribe unfortunately participated, all except for the tribe of Levi, the Levites. That one tribe did not participate, and therefore they took over the responsibility, the sons of Aaron, that's Moses' older brother. Originally, Aaron was a Levite only, and because he is now going to be the high priest, he was promoted to the position of high priest, and his children were the original regular priests. And they got married, and their children and children's children became the priests of the Jewish people. So they have the highest honor to officiate in the Holy Temple. You see the origin of it now because they didn't participate in the stupid worship of a piece of metal. They were rewarded with this very, very eternal gift of being the priests of the Jewish people. And in order to honor them, if there is a priest, a Kohen, in the synagogue, they are called up for the first Aliyah. We call it Aliyah, the first portion. Secondly, a Levite, someone who is not a priest, but from that tribe. That's the tribe of Levi. They would be called next. And afterwards, a member of any of the tribes, you or I, could be called, and that's called an Israelite, a Yisrael. Most of us don't know what tribe we're from. It's usually either from Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. Those priests and Levites that we have today, hopefully, we assume that they're all legitimately from the tribe of Levi. At any rate, what I'm going to read to you now, just give you an idea. So you see that we're calling up several people. There are certain laws to be followed. Now here, let's say that you have some brothers. We do not call 2 brothers one after the other, whether they are brothers from both sides, mom and dad, or just their brothers from the father's side or brothers from the mother's side. We do not call one after another in the Torah reading. As we said Thursday morning, we call upon three. If there's no Kohen, no priest, no Levite, we call three regular Israelites. I'm a regular Israelite myself. I don't have my brother anymore, unfortunately. He passed away some years ago in a terrible situation, which was absolutely not his fault. But at any rate, when my brother and I were in the synagogue, both together, then they had to be careful. If they wanted to call us to the Torah, they didn't call us one after the other. They would call one brother, then call someone else unrelated, and then call the other brother if you wanted to give each of those brothers the honor of being called up to the Torah. Likewise, v'chein im beno, of im beno o ben beno. Even a father was called. Don't call his son right after him, or even his grandson right after him. You should put in someone else, an unrelated person in between. Now, a situation like this might be a special occasion in which people have gathered for a simcha. It might be a bar mitzvah, might be calling up a young man who's getting married soon or whatsoever. Under those circumstances, sometimes that is released. It is released, but in a normal situation, we don't call up closely related people one after the other. Let's find out the reason for that. What's wrong with that? So it says mishum ena bisha. This is a matter of great sensitivity. I'm afraid we're all human. And when two brothers, they're from the same family, or a father and a son, or even a father and a grandson, are called one after the other, people start thinking, oh, they're giving all these high honors and special opportunities to this family, and they're excluding others, and they're showing great prejudice, great attention to this family. And there's a feeling of jealousy there. We're all human. These are wrong feelings, to be sure. If at any time you have a feeling like that, immediately dispel it from your mind and from your heart. Excuse me, and distract it with something else. But I'm afraid you may have also been in a situation in which several people were honored. Maybe it was at a meeting, perhaps it was some sort of a ceremony, of any kind of ceremony whatsoever, and you wonder how come they're giving all these honors to these people who are all related together from the same family, and that can bother people. And that causes people to have the wrong thoughts, which can, God forbid, another time we'll discuss it, that can cause harm to the family, God forbid. So this is to be avoided. And by how do we avoid it? That you don't call the two brothers one after the other. There's an interruption in between, somebody else in between. So you can see that each individual was entitled to be called up, but it's not exclusive to their family. It's not special attention that's being given to them. So again, we see unusual sensitivity in Judaism, in the Torah. I don't know if you've ever heard of any other faith or any other, even an organization that's careful about things of that nature. Sometimes people feel if they give a lot of money to an institution, that all the honors and special attention and special credit is given to only their family members. Okay, so we see again that the Torah is sensitive to an unusual danger. We don't want to cause any danger, any ill feeling that could result, God forbid, in something happening. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit further today too. Okay, now here's an interesting law as well. Basically, when one is called to the Torah, originally you would read it yourself, but because many of us, and maybe most of us, are not able to read the Torah ourselves when we're called up, as I mentioned, we have a reader, a person who's responsible to do all the reading, and we go up in order to have this wonderful experience, come close to God, be called up to the Torah, say the blessing, and while the reader is reading, we are supposed to read silently along with the reader, because it's actually originally for us to read ourselves to the congregation. Now, not to embarrass anybody, that's another occasion of where the Torah is very sensitive. We don't want to embarrass a person who's not able to do it, and therefore we have one reader who does it for everybody. Now, let's say that you're in one synagogue, let's call it the Sons of Jacob, the Sons of Jacob synagogue. I'm just giving it a name and just making it the name, or the Gates of Zion. That's a nice synagogue name, huh? The Gates of Zion. They're called up to the Torah, and then they finished the service, and then they went across the street to see someone, and they were still reading the Torah at the other synagogue. This was a service that was a little later than the one that the person had attended, and they're reading from the Torah the very same portion. Obviously, it's a different reader, it's a different congregation, a different building, but they were reading the same words. And because he came into the synagogue, he's a very loved and well-liked person, and they gave him an honor. What did they give him? The exact same portion that he had been called up to in the first synagogue. Is that okay? Can he do it again? Make the blessings all over again? It's the same blessings again. May he do that? And the answer is yes. He can get the same honor in another synagogue the same day, and it's just a few minutes later from before. That is okay too. That is permissible too. Okay. Let me go on just a little bit. And some of these wonderful laws that show such wonderful, wonderful sensitivity. Here we go. Okay, be right with you. I'm trying to do the material. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We had also learned that those who are called up to the Torah, it has to be a male who is over 13 years of age. Now, I'm going to take up just for a couple of minutes a subject that is very, very much understood. I'm sorry, so Thursday night I'm a little tired. This is a subject that's very much misunderstood, not understood. You may have heard of a prayer, and most people have heard of this, even many non-Jews have heard of it, the Kaddish. The Kaddish. And Kaddish is associated wrongly with the opposite of life, because it's recited by a relative, by the child of the person who passed away, and that for the 11 months, the child in the synagogue recites a special holy prayer called the Kaddish, and it starts with the words Yiskadal, Yiskadash, Shemei Rabbah, may God's great name be exalted. And people have misunderstood that prayer to think that's the prayer for the dead. It's the prayer for mourning. That's totally and completely false. The reason I mention it is because every time the Torah is read, with one exception, when the Torah is read, after the reading, this prayer is recited, in which God's name is praised and sanctified. And it's usually associated mistakenly, this is a mistake, as being thought as a prayer of mourning, that a person who has, God forbid, lost a parent or a close relative recites that prayer for the 11 months. And we can go into greater detail another time on that. It's not a prayer of mourning. It's not even mentioning, it doesn't even mention death at all. On the contrary, it speaks about life, and it speaks about the holiness of the Almighty. Why is it being recited after the Torah was just read? The Torah is a Torah of life. Why are we reciting the Skadal V'Skadash Shmei Rabbah after the Torah reading? So I'll tell you, the original Kaddish had nothing to do with the funeral, had nothing to do with passing away. It was a thank you to God for giving us the Torah. The oldest Kaddish is called Kaddish de Rabbanan, the Kaddish of the rabbis. and it thanks the Almighty for giving us His holy Torah. It's a very holy prayer, and it has such a magnificent praise of God. Yehesh me Rabba Mavorach. May God's great name be blessed. The Olam, may Almighty forever and forever and forever. His Barech, may He be blessed. It's a tremendous praise of the Almighty, and it's a tremendous thank you to the Almighty. It has nothing to do with death. It has nothing to do with mourning. It has nothing to do with funerals. So you're probably wondering, so why is it recited then? If it has nothing to do, why don't you recite something? And there are prayers that have to do with mourning. The Kaddish is not a prayer of mourning, not at all. So the answer is very interesting.
But it's very popular.
That when the child, the descendant of the one who passed away, recites the Kaddish, Yehesh me Rabba Baruch, may God's great name be exalted and may be blessed forever and forever. When that is recited by the descendant, if the parent or close relative was subject to judgment, after our lifetime, we have to be cleansed from the filth that we accumulated during our lifetime. We all make mistakes. If that parent or that relative is experiencing judgment after they have passed away, they are released from the judgment. That's what the Kaddish does, and that's why it's recited by someone who has lost, God forbid, a parent or a dear one, a close
Two
one.
sons.
That's why it is recited, in order to remove the judgment, to rescue, so to speak, the loved one from judgment. When it's recited after the Torah reading, it has nothing to do with anyone who passed away. Nobody passed away.
Mm-hmm.
The three whole beautiful passages are 7 and 8 passages we read on Saturday. There's nothing passing away here. It's being recited as a thank you to God for giving us the Torah. Reverend Sanyuska wanted to say something?
Yes, that when you ask forgiveness for sin, you also get it eradicated.
That's very good. Thank you very much.
But tell people, they didn't hear me.
Yep. That when one has accomplished that, to be forgiveness from sin, it's such a great accomplishment that it also releases from judgment as well.
Asking forgiveness.
That's for the living, and asking forgiveness is for the living and for those who have passed away as well. Okay, thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope to continue. We are learning and seeing that the Torah has many beautiful, beautiful secrets in it, many things that we have never heard before, never learned before. Great sensitivity, great sensitivity for each other that we learn from it. And we pray very much that God will redeem us all immediately. The world is in one big, it's like one powder keg, one dangerous stick of dynamite. Everything is so tense right now, and it's perfect time for the redemption. May the Almighty redeem us all now.
Amen.
And then all this war and bloodshed and brutality and horror will be ended forever.
Amen.
Be able to serve the Almighty with love all together, and all peoples will be invited to serve the Almighty together. No more prejudice, no more jealousy, no more competition, no more friction, all that to be removed. Okay, thank you again for joining us, and be well. Have a wonderful Shabbos too tomorrow night.
And hopefully soon Rebbitzin will get back on board. Thank you, Yesher Koach, husband and Rabbi. And we thank you all for coming in today. I hope you'll have a great Shabbos. May the Almighty help you not only to learn the Torah, but to retain all you learn, so you can put it into action. And by doing that, you'll have a better quality of life. That is the whole secret to improvement of life. So, Shabbat Shalom and Zyga Bench. God bless you all. And we'll see you next time, hopefully. Today's Thursday, so the next class will be on Sunday at, depending on where your location is, New York, it will be at noon. Okay, Zyga Bench.